Any thoughts on Pats at all? Starting out 0-2, first time since 2001.
Not really.
Yep, cool.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Minifandom. I'm recording this one live on the network, so there'll be a few people watching live. And as you heard there from the clip, I'm joined by someone who is ensconced in the producer race. He's doing very well. Coleman, welcome to Minifandom. I know you haven't heard of the show before, but it's great to have you on. Oh, we lost him. Oh, he's muted. Oh, no, can't hear him now. What have you done? What have you done? Oh, my God. He's fucked his sound up, so I can't hear him. He's on mute. It's picked up. I still can't hear him. Wow. Still can't hear you.
Nothing?
Is this a bit? Now. Is this a bit?
Okay. No. It's the AirPods. They got all misconnected. But
okay.
Happy to be here, man.
Great to have you. Some people think I try and trip up the producers, and I think some people are going to think I turned off your sound there or not. But
No,
I didn't do any of that.
That was me. No worries.
And I am not trying to trip up the producers.
No,
I cannot be, made. It's not my fault if someone says something stupid, is it?
Fair, very fair. Yeah, you gotta let it ride.
Right. Now, so we'll start with taking care of business and getting this episode together.
Sure.
You and I had a bit of a rocky sort of a little moment there.
Yeah.
So I invited you on Minifandom last week. You said yes. Then when I went to organize it, you palmed me off. And I've got to say, I take some responsibility. I got a bit fired up.
Me as well, yeah.
Yeah. And one of the reasons I got fired up was because, the first producer of KMS, a fellow called Steve Robinson, was an absolute snake, an asshole, and him and I had a very bad relationship. And it started similar. I was giving him tech advice. I was helping him with the show. I was giving him producer tips, and then he took all the advice and then just gave me the big finger at the end of it. Didn't even say thank you. So when you sort of palmed me off, I was like, "Oh, is this guy too good for me already?" And yeah.
No, yeah. First and foremost, I didn't even realize that I'd forgotten we had that interaction. And then looking back, I was like, oh shit, yeah, he was right. On top of that, you caught me literally just walking through the door after my drive back. And I was, had a couple other shows lined up and everything. And at that point I was just, kind of beat, kind of really tired. And, maybe I didn't handle that the right way either, but apologies. Happy to be here. Really excited to join you on this. I know it's a big thing for Minifans too. So really happy to be here.
Oh, you're so lovely. You are so lovely. And I really don't, and this is what people don't understand about me, Coleman. And sorry to make this all about me, but I don't want to hate the producer of the main show, the Kirk Minahan show. Like, I didn't like hating Steve Robinson. I didn't like the fact that, he was such an asshole and we had this relationship. And, since Dave's taken over, despite his many, 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 many failings, him and I get on quite well. And, I'm hoping that, because I'm almost like, a shadow producer, whoever takes over, him and I have a good relationship because, I give a lot of Kirk his best ideas. That's just a fact.
Gotcha. Yeah. On my end, I don't really have as much experience with, Dave, Steve. I've been able to meet Dave from when I've gone in, and he's been nothing but helpful. Seriously, like on my end, in terms of figuring out the booth and everything, nothing but helpful. So really don't have a bad thing to say about him. But yeah, I'm just trying to get invested in this world and kind of stay involved. And I know it's a special place for a lot of people, and I understand that. Like I can't just be coming in here, being balls to the wall and lie about what I am and what I'm about. I'm coming in and I want to understand it all and get it all and get caught up on this journey with all of you because it means a lot to a lot of people. So I take this world and everything in it and Kirk with, a high degree. So.
Absolutely. I mean, just to give you an idea, for example, of my influence on the show, I sort of suggested to Kirk that a long time ago that they should bring Minifans in once a week because they were trying to get these random C-grade media people in who didn't know the show. And, Kirk took that advice and I think it's gone really well. And also, going live on YouTube every day. I was in studio last year and I said to him, I want to see more live on YouTube stuff. And he took it. So, yeah, so look, I'm hoping whoever gets the job, whether that's you, Montante, whoever it is,
yeah, definitely. There's a lot of great relationship.
Yeah, and I think the Minifans and the main show are very important. So tell me, how's your re-listen going?
Good. So obviously I had that initial push, 25 plus episodes, whatever it was, really just starting from as far back as the Spotify feed had gone, which I believe was August 19th, 2019. So
Mm,
probably just a couple earlier ones in there. But really was just listening at like 1.5 speed, trying to get the main stuff down, trying to pick up on as much as I could. So I wasn't just going into an actual show blind or anything. Since then, I believe I've listened to two. Now I've toned down the pace a little bit. Now I just kind of want to listen
yep.
normally. I can tell you right now. So I'm about a quarter, little over a quarter of the way through. I think it's Kirk Minahan is glad he didn't have a Twitter at 16. Um, and before that, I believe was the NBC article written about Barstool, and then just kind of everyone's thoughts about that and criticizing that. So those were the more recent ones. Oh, and the declares war on Minifans. That was crazy too. So Kirk just lighting
That
a fire under everyone. That
yeah,
was
that
a great
happens
listen.
every couple of months. That's a
For
regular
sure. Yeah,
occurrence.
you
We
got it.
we
Got to
piss him
keep
off
guys
all
in
the
order.
time. Absolutely. Have you got to the bit where Steve Robinson is suspended from the show yet?
No, so I did listen through the death of Steve Robinson. That was one that kept
Different
coming
one.
up from suggestions from everyone. So that was one that I did listen through. That was a tough spot to be in. You got to have that audio, you know.
I think if you look in February 2020, you want to listen to when Steve was suspended. That was a pretty momentous
Okay,
moment in the
cool.
show. And we'll
Yeah,
get through that situation a bit later. I've got a few producer questions for you, how you'd
sure.
handle certain situations.
Yeah.
Um, and so, how do you think your, application for the job is going?
Well, I think that coming in, it's a weird spot I am in because I'm the youngest, I believe, out of everyone. But at the same time, I do have a lot of this experience. I have a lot of this even barstool experience, podcast experience, technical experience. I think I'm trying to bring all of that into this role and really take it seriously. Um, in general, in terms of other candidates, anything there, like I haven't really concerned myself too much with the other candidates because to me, end of the day, there's one producer. I mean, I know they've mentioned maybe two or whatever, but there's one producer, and really the end goal is to just make the best show possible, make the best show for Kirk, and I really want to do that. So in terms of my own, I mean, I've appreciated all the nice things people have said. I've seen some of the Snyder comments too. I like that too. I like mixing it up. That's fun. Um, but really, I just go into every given show, one show at a time, making sure we got everything, like I do with anything. It's just lock in and make sure we can have the best show possible. So that's all I've really been concerned with. Hey, if I don't get this, I can at least count on my back that I gave my all for two shows, however many I'm able to do, and contributed to this world. So really, that's all I've ever been concerned about.
And how do you feel knowing that at the moment you seem to be the front runner?
Yeah, I mean that's everyone's opinions and stuff. I know people have been giving out endorsements and everything. End of the day, the only endorsement that matters is Kirk. So as long as he's good with me on an episode that I've done so far, that's all that really matters to me. First place, last place, I really see no difference. I think there is a lot of talent in the producer race right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't me. Seriously, I today I listened to the Montante episode. I thought he was awesome on the show. So it numbers are whatever to me. I really don't care.
Okay. If you go to soccer and you're there and you're
I'm
all
I'm
lined up,
planning on going. Yeah.
how disappointed would you be if he reads out another name? Hey, Josh is the producer, or Will.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's not the ideal scenario to go down. It would be great if it's
Put
me.
your fucking heart on the table, Jack. Tell me how much you want this job. Like
I
that's
do.
what.
I really want this. I do see, throughout working through Barcelona and stuff, I've worked on a lot of different things, and sometimes it wasn't necessarily a right fit. Sometimes it's just stuff that you're thrown on and just you have to do. Getting more involved in this world and interacting with the show and working on the show, I feel a connection to it. I don't know necessarily what that would be just yet, but I feel like I'm, working in an area that is complementary to a lot of my skills and abilities, whether that's some of my journalistic background at Boston College, having to dig through stories and everything. Like that is something very true to me that I enjoy doing anyway. So yeah, I think it is a really strong, really good fit. And I'm laid off right now. I don't have a job. This would be ideal to stay within this realm of Barstool, to work for an amazing host like Kirk, and really just kind of go balls to the wall with this and give you guys something that you can be proud of and continue to really enjoy.
Pocket. Do you think you're a fan? If this sort of goes away, will you keep listening?
Yeah, actually, that was the main thing. Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect coming into it. All I knew was that I wanted to be prepared for a show that I was going to be, potentially, looking at as a job. So after listening through, I was sold. I mean, this is just quality. This is fun to listen to. This is good stuff. There's good characters. There's Kirk at the helm, just leading this ship. It's entertaining, man. I'm locked in. I seriously, yes. If things don't go the way that I'd like them to, yeah, definitely continuing to listen. Maybe that might be tougher to do and as an everyday thing if I have to, pick up a different job or something. But yeah, I'm gonna be locked in, still listening, man. This is great stuff.
And what about before you came and did these trials? I'm curious,
Yeah.
what was your before you started, when you're a Barstool, what was your impression of Kirk and the show? And then how is that different once you've actually been in the world for a little while?
Gotcha. Yeah. It is tough because I think at Barstool, and I think this was hinted at in that episode with Nate and Pat when everyone was talking about perception of Kirk. That was kind of the perception that was given off around the office, that Kirk was this scary guy, really tough to work for and everything. And I'm sure that's true. I mean, he wants to have a great show, and the end all be all is Kirk. End of the day. So I understand that could be a challenging environment. Um, but to me, I don't really like to judge people until I've been able to interact with them or have a one-on-one, whatever it really is. Um, Having done the show now, I can tell that he's incredibly passionate about this. This is something where, it's not me out there trying to plug content or whatever. Like I've been saying, I just want to give Kirk the best show possible. And I know something that's come up a lot is like, oh, will Coleman be able to handle, Kirk flipping the switch, whatever. That's a real possibility. I saw things like that with Dave at Barstool too, where Austin, really talented guy, really strong guy, who was in Dave's corner, having to be under that fire. I've been on rundowns where, you kind of are in that line of fire of Dave and everything. I'm not comparing Kirk and Dave. I think they do have their differences. But I think that in a role like that, as long as you're properly prepared, have thick skin, can let things bounce over you while also taking criticism and improving upon it, that's a valiant thing to be able to do, to continue on to provide such a quality show. So I think that day will come. Like that's another thing. Like I think I have this perception that, since I've been doing a good job to people, that I, won't be ready for that moment. Listen, I'm human. I guarantee there will be something that I'll slip up, mess up. It happens. But the ability to get up from that and continue and improve upon it and not let it happen again. The classic rundown example that we went through with me, that didn't happen again. So it's a fluid situation, but you got to be able to adapt, and you got to be able to just recognize that this is the Kirk Minahan show. Okay, like if you're at fault, maybe it makes for a better show, and maybe you can just take the punches as they come, and ride with it so that you can provide the best show possible for Kirk and the fans.
I mean, a few things there. I mean, with that about the blowtorch, and one thing about Kirk is, and I'm not criticizing here, it is a comment, he is a little bit inconsistent. And the job
Mhm.
of the producer, I think, is to be steady. And I'll give you an
Yeah.
example. Say with Montante,
Okay.
a few days ago he's saying, criticizing him for going away and not doing enough stuff, and he seems
Sure.
like he doesn't want the job. But then he comes in today and he's criticizing him for going on shows and trying to get back in the race.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
you've really got to be confident in yourself to
Definitely.
hang with Kirk and sort of have a sort of base level. So if he knocks you down one day, which is going to happen, it might not be, not saying it's unfair, but it might just be something that he's turned up the heat on one day, but then the next day he doesn't worry about. So
For sure.
uh,
I that's anyone though. I mean, that's life in general. I don't
mm,
necessarily know any given day what he's going through, what I'm going through. It's fine. It's still a show. End of the day, it needs to get done, and it needs to collect views and everything. So, you gotta be able to let that bounce off of you. And if it sucks, it sucks. I'm lower man on the totem pole. You said that you don't want a bad rapport with the producer. I think that naturally happens in general, not just with Kirk's show, but across all shows. The talent is the talent. And naturally there is going to be that back and forth. There is going to be that contradiction here and there. And yeah, like fans are going to tend to side with the host. That happens. That's natural. And if anything, I appreciate that more because it's authentic. It's not some made up mean girl show for clips, let's say. It's real
I
life.
like that. I like that.
So I think it's more authentic than a lot of other scenarios that I could be in. And genuinely, I think I appreciate that more.
You might be too smart for this job.
I'm telling you, this keeps happening. Like, don't hype that up. I guarantee I'll have a moment where it happens.
I guarantee I'm an idiot.
Yep. No, it'll happen, man. It'll happen.
So back to Barstool. So you said there was this impression of Kirk. Now that you've been in KMS, do you think, and I think it's changing, but do you think a lot of the people's impression of Kirk at Barstool is unfair, that he gets sort of characterized over a few little things and people don't really listen to the show? They don't get the comedy element to it. Like, a lot of it's a joke.
Sure. Not everyone can take a joke. That's a fact. I do think at Barstool as well, having been on a show like Stool Scenes, we're always trying to not play up, but capture the characters of people that people attach with them online. So if Frank the Tank is having a blowout, we're getting that and putting that on camera. It's not the 24/7 spectrum of the day that Frank is on where we're getting every single moment. No, like, you want the freak out. So if Kirk is characterized by certain things, yeah, maybe that's what's accentuated and what people see. But it's not always the case that that's who they are 24/7. Not that he's inauthentic. I think Kirk has pretty much just been Kirk. I don't really know what that means. I've heard a lot of people say that too, but I just think he's himself. He's like I keep saying, passionate about what he does and very much the captain of this ship.
He can be an asshole, but he's not an asshole. And I think,
aren't we all though?
But I think there's a few people at Barstool still that just think, oh, this guy's an asshole and he's a sexist pig and all this stuff.
Yeah, but maybe that's just fear coming out, not willing to take the time to interact. Or I've heard countless times where Kirk has said that, he's willing to, do whatever. If it means making a fool of himself or whatever, like, that's something reminiscent in Dave, in Big Cat, like all these big names, like, they will do whatever is needed to make content. So maybe it's just, a lack of willingness to open up or interact with him. And so they get pigeonholed. I think it's also tough being his own separate world and everything, which is, I think, a great thing to just kind of be in Boston, have your own thing. It's tough when you're not in the day-to-day of New York office. I mean, people get close, people form almost like sheep opinions within groups of everything. It's hard to keep track of who's friends with who's not. I think a common perception within Barstool is that we're all buddy 24/7. That's not the case. People it's work. Like, you have coworkers that you're friendly with, but don't necessarily know on a personal level like that. So, I don't, like I said, in terms of me interacting, like, I'm only going to base it off of what I know from firsthand experience and not listen to the rest of the people out there.
Did you bang any of the girls at Barstool when you were there?
No, sir. No.
What about OnlyFans? I know you're not into porn, but do you log on to Kelly Keegs or any of the other Jordan's OnlyFans?
So I did help out Glenny. Shout out Glenny, man. I love Glenny Balls. I helped out with his show a good amount.
You banged him?
No, God, no, man. If he should be so lucky. But no, he always had girls coming through and on the show, and I just found it really interesting. I thought that they were some of the people that had some of the more interesting stories out there, just dealing with the industry at large and how they're actually like pretty normal people. They got a weird sex thing going on, but our queens are queens. They're just trying to live life and make a little cash on the side. It's facts.
Fair enough. All right. So back to KMS.
Yeah.
What do you think makes a good KMS episode? Like, what is it your role in that?
Yeah, to me, I think it does come back with there's a couple things, but off the top of my head, I'll go with topics first. I think the topics are pretty important. Me learning this world, I've had a couple slip ups
Wrong.
there.
First
Maybe
mistake. First mistake. First mistake.
all right,
First
all
mistake.
right.
First
What?
mistake. See, so I'm just going to jump. I'm going to just jump in because I think, and I think you've got good instincts. But one thing I think
Yeah.
you need to work out is it's not about topics. It's about getting
Hmm.
a reaction out of Kirk. That's
Oh yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
the key.
No,
What
no,
interests
that's where I
him?
was.
Yeah.
Yes, that's where I was getting to a bit with topics though. Like I don't want to pigeonhole it into topics, but in the greater scheme of the show, if you can find something that then opens up the floor to reaction to conversation, I think that that is really valuable. So while it's not just necessarily the topic list, like a topic doesn't have to be some eye-catching headline story of the day or
Mm,
obviously a sports topic of the day, but if there's a just something funny, just a little thing online that pops up that I'm drawing a blank. He was talking about, I think it was today, with AJ Soprano being the same age as Tony Soprano. Like that's
yes.
just a little tweet, but that opened up a greater conversation to be had. So I agree with you. Yes, I think topics, but through topics, a greater way to expand the room, to expand the conversation, to get jokes off, and to let Kirk kind of dominate
Mm.
is definitely key for sure.
Yeah, I think like obviously the Patriots thing was a big mistake.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that was a miss. Yeah. Learning as I go.
yeah,
Obviously trying to whittle down stuff like that, slip ups like that here and there. But I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I'm new to this. I'm learning it. I'm
mm,
trying to get it down. That's partly why I am committed to going back through old episodes and everything, so I can get caught up with you guys and understand what makes a good show and what wouldn't fly. So yeah, for sure. I think that's something that as I go on, hopefully, I think that's something that I can personally do on my own to better the greater show and Kirk.
yeah, and it's about finding those things that really get Kirk going. And a lot of
Yeah,
he like everybody, he loves when people talk about him. So if you can get stuff from people talking about him, he loves that, and he loves to respond to it. He's also, and he made this point today, and I think you get this, but he's not really like super into the Barstool world. Like
yeah, I heard that today. Yeah,
yeah, he likes to float in
Understandable
and out.
for sure. Um, I don't think it needs to be every single topic that's popping up on the blog or that's included in rundown or radio. Like, no, I get that already. That you don't want to be just listing off stuff like that. I think it's key when there is moments that Kirk is one directly involved in, like we saw with the Ryder Cup, or heavy hitters that in some way would relate to Kirk's show, relate to grander journalistic pieces. So like today with the Washington Post and Dave, I think that that's a topic that Kirk would be able to play off of, has had experience with similar things, that kind of thing. It doesn't need to be Barstool 24/7. And I get that. That may be a perception with me having been in Barstool, is that I'd bring a lot of Barstool to it. No, like I know it's a completely separate thing within the greater world of it. You gotta pick and choose. Be careful with it.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. What about your vision for the show? What are some
Mm,
of the things you'd like to improve, or Kirk wants a go-getter. He wants someone
for
out there
sure.
who's going to push the show and not
For
sit on
sure.
his hands like Dave Cullinane. So what are some of the things you've got in your back pocket?
Yeah, I mean, so there's simpler things and then there's grander scheme things, right? So for me today, like I spent some time today just clipping up the show, trying to help out Dave with that. And another thing I did on top of that was make like just vertical clips. And so vertical clips are big. While they you've seen a couple maybe on the Instagram or whatever, like there's ways to do them that accentuate the greater show, play to Kirk's comedic timing. Play off the characters, build up the world around them. So, like simple things is including tweets in them, including captions that accentuate certain points. Those are little things that not only play well with, I'm assuming, the fans, but also the greater world out there where there can be more exposure for Kirk to be able to grow the show a bit more. If it's just a topic talking about a viral issue, there's no reason that that can't also blow up on social media and expand the world and have
Yeah.
people be like, oh, like, no
Mm.
way, I should check this out, you know?
I think Kirk would absolutely pop on TikTok with, because that's
Yeah.
all about short,
So
hot takes.
100%. And the thing with TikTok, though, is from what I've gathered of Kirk, I don't think he necessarily wants to be, seeing his face doing a stupid trend or something. There's trends at times that maybe would work, would fit. Nothing where he's, ripping the newest dance craze, even though I do know he has his dance background.
Very
Um,
good at it.
Yeah, but in general, like I think building up a TikTok through those clips on the daily basis that could get viral reactions could then maybe cause some leeway where, maybe there is a trend that fits within the world of the show that makes sense. I also think that while it is Kirk first and Kirk centric, I think there's certain characters that maybe could play well on TikTok, like a Blind Mike. I think Blind Mike could have, a couple videos here and there, or a Justin. He did
Mad
the
Manners.
he did the green screen video
Mm,
reaction to Mick and stuff. Like those are
exactly.
little things that you can add to a social profile to build it up more, the greater world, while still having Kirk at the center of it all.
Yeah, I mean, the most consumption online at the moment, I have some background in this, is
Mm.
that real format. You can post those vertical clips on Twitter. Like it doesn't quite
Yes,
look the same, but you can actually just be posting those on both all the platforms.
exactly. Yeah,
So
that's
I think
that's
huge
also.
area of growth.
I was just going to say that the vertical clips are what Barstool accentuates. So that's something where, coming from Barstool side, you can maybe open up more views to Kirk, where if I were to send vertical clips to the social team, there's a greater chance of those getting posted on main page, of Kirk getting greater Barstool exposure to then bring
Mm.
in within the world. So that's just something really little, really small that could be an impactful fix along the way.
And I've done some tests on this, and the greatest correlation of increasing listens, and sorry, listeners, this is getting a bit tech, but we'll
Yeah.
continue in a minute. The greater correlation for social and in increasing listeners is like TikTok. If you have
Yeah.
good posts on there, for some reason that does translate into spikes in people going and subscribing to your show. I like that. So apart from vertical clips, what else?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really get a chance to talk about it, but I know that some of the other candidates had talking about like the interns or whatever.
Mm.
So for
Can you
me,
get
I
young hot
just
chick?
no,
So
no,
that's my idea. That's my idea.
we want the ugliest crumb bums out there. Uh,
Okay.
we
Big tits though.
no, but coming from this past summer, this was my first year within Barstool where there was an intern class under me. I've already done that kind of collaboration and work and training up of interns. There was a group
You
of
must be
production
playing
ones.
Caroline. Isn't it Caroline the singer?
No,
Did you give her one? All right. I
no,
thought you'd
we're
be
good friend though. Good friend,
okay.
good friend. Caroline
Yeah.
and I are chill. But in general, no. I've done work with interns. I've showed them the ropes. I've helped them out on shoots and how to properly edit certain things. That's just something that I didn't really get a chance to talk about, but I think I'm more than capable of commanding a group and keeping them in order, as well as trying to you know build them up for a greater role within the world to help out. Another thing too is I've been trying to help out the Barstool BC guys. Like I'm in a group text with them, trying to make sure that they have posts and doing things the right way. And if they fuck up, just coming down on them, being like, we can't do that. This isn't acceptable. Whatever. So I think if that were eventually to happen with Kirk and everything here, I'm more than capable of that too.
So you can run a team. I like it.
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
Definitely.
All right. So now I want to put some questions to you.
Sure.
And this is sort of some past situations producers have been in and maybe they've failed at. Okay. So current one, what would you set the pay-per-view price at Socko?
Right. Well, again, I don't disagree with the $9.99 currently. I think that as of right now, this is the first time that a Kirk show is being able to do this. So yeah, maybe you do test it out a little lower. Maybe it is more loyal fans for this one right away, and maybe you do cut them a break on it. I'm not opposed to that. I guess if I were to set it, I mean, what's the point of picking numbers? Like maybe 12.99 just to get a little more out of someone's pocket, sure. But I think
What's
the
the point
nine
of
ninety
picking
nine,
numbers? That's how you set a price. That's how you set a price,
yeah.
Coleman.
Well, I'm just saying, like, what's $2 more? I don't really see a difference there for a first time show where it's being tried out, where you want to see how many.
50,000 people. If if 50,000 people buy it and it's $2 more, that's 100,000 more dollars. So there's a a reason
For
you
sure.
pick a price.
For sure, but at the same time, I think with a first show like this, it's not a bad price to have it just set
Oh,
9.99 Saturday night. That's a great just if you're not doing anything, or even if you are, please buy. But even if you aren't, like that's a good night in to be able to watch a cool live
absolutely.
show. $10. I mean, there are rentals on Amazon that are going for 15, 18 of some
I,
shitty movie.
Jack,
So
I'm saving $5,000 Aussie dollars, not having to fly over,
that's
get
awesome.
hotels, hire
Yeah.
cars. I mean,
So that's what
$10 is
I'm
a bargain for me.
That's what I'm saying. I have no issue with where it currently is. I think see how this does though, see if there is that demand, which I believe there will be. And if there is, maybe you can push it a little more. Maybe there are ways to build up the show to maybe increase pricing. I don't necessarily know what that would be right now, but I think for now it's a good bar to set it at to then assess later after the fact. But for
So you're
now,
sticking with
zero problem.
9.99.
I'm cool with
9.99.
9.99.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's fair enough. I think it's hard to go up, but
Mhm.
I think you don't want to, next year if all of a sudden it's $15, people will be like, oh, well, last year it was $10.
Sure.
But I think if they've got a plan next year to go on the road and do this regularly, you want it at a price where people are like, I'm just going to do it every time. I'm just going to do it every time and not think about it.
Yeah.
And I think sort of between 10 and 15, no one would blink.
Definitely. And I do think that it is something for fans to be like to not just you know you guys have been hardcore and loyal to the show. Maybe right off the bat we're not jumping to a higher price or anything. Maybe that is a small means of giving back. I think that it could uh sell at a higher price and people would buy, sure, because that's how passionate everyone is
Mm.
about this show and about Kirk. But in general, let's baseline test it for now and hope that we get so many people buying in that $10 just becomes a really great price all around, and that
Okay.
Barstool sees it. Barstool sees that a lot of people are buying it for that price, and that there is this high demand. I think that'd be really good for the show and for Kirk.
Okay. Do you know how many people listen to KMS? Have you been privy to those numbers yet?
So I'm not 100% sure. I know just from looking through the YouTube, I see that it seems to be around like 1,000 listening live. And then after the fact, I've seen, like I know an episode with Dave hit like 35K, which that happens with any given show. You're going to get a greater influx. I
Portnoy
see it
bump.
kind of consistently. Yes, sorry, Portnoy. But I see it consistently around like 10, 11K. It seems like on the YouTube. I'm not privy to the audio numbers, so I'm not sure. I imagine it's more than that. But yeah,
Yeah, I think he has I think he has a big audience that just listen because I think
yeah,
it sort of lends itself to. I mean, it's a podcast. It lends itself to
yeah,
listening, but I think that I don't think because the YouTube thing came on late and it, hasn't always been there. I think there's a much bigger audience that are on the podcast apps and
sure,
listen while they're working and stuff. I reckon it's 100K an episode listens.
cool.
I've seen if Jerry Callahan, I think gets over. I've heard he gets over 20K. I think Montante said it on a show.
Okay, yeah.
Then Kirk would have to be 5x that because he's 5 times as talented.
I
All right,
I
next,
imagine, yeah.
yeah. All right, next question. All right, so
Yep.
when Dave Cullinane took over the show, and this is where
Mhm,
this is sort of our Benghazi for the Minifans.
mhm,
So he took over the show and he did a first Socko show, and he said to all the Minifans, "I'd love it if you could submit some great videos, and we'll play them
okay,
in between skits and stuff and part of the show." Yeah. And there
sure,
are some very, very talented video editors in this community, one of which Warden of the North. There's a few others.
okay,
And they put a lot of effort into making videos for that live show.
yeah,
And then Dave Cullinane didn't incorporate any into the show, like he completely forgot about them, and then he remembered at the end. So as people are driving out, he just hit play and started playing the clips.
Gotcha.
And there was quite a few Minifans that were, their nose was out of joint because they don't expect everything to be played that you submit. But
for sure, but it takes time.
If you're asked to put in work and you do it, then you should make an effort to especially play the really good ones when people are there. So Cullinane took no responsibility for that. I guess, how would you handle that whole situation? Going back to asking Minifans for content and then deciding what to play and what not to play, and then, you know, diplomatically telling the people you're not going to use their content. You know, how would you handle this whole thing? Because he disenfranchised some great Minifans.
For sure. I think first and foremost, before putting out an ask like that, I would like to run that by Kirk, because what if you do put that out and, you know, Kirk instantly just goes, I don't want any of these in. So then, you know, that's on you for asking, but at the same time trying to, you know, not frustrate Kirk by having these random videos in. So I think that's the first thing. I think that certain things do need to run through him because this is his show, his world. After that, let's say that's all fine. People send in videos. In regards to the show itself, I don't necessarily know in that scenario where would be best or something. Maybe you highlight the better ones. I definitely think watching through all of them is a baseline that you got to do to be able to assess what would be good. Yeah, for sure. You know, that's something that I would do as someone who asked that of people. I have experience in video editing. I know that 1 30-second clip can take a long time to put together, and it's a lot of work. So
absolutely.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't just you know, put it by the wayside. I think at the end of the day, I wouldn't, I guess playing it out towards the end, if all else had failed throughout that entire thing, I guess you're getting some kind of FaceTime with it. But me, I think I would be like, hand up, didn't find a proper way to do this. Let's highlight some of these on the social channel maybe, and really like rank even which videos did the best or anything like that. Because it is a lot of hard work. I get that. I
so
wouldn't want to just waste any time.
Unlike Dave Cullinane, you wouldn't just tell, because he basically told the Minifans to fuck off. Like he was just like, well,
yeah, I mean, listen, I don't really, I can't speak for Dave and
no, I'm talking about you. What would you do?
Yeah, I think with anything, there's a lot of stuff that I would own. I think that having been in this world in terms of the Barstool world too, the greatest thing you have on your side is truth. And so being able to fall back, funny enough, fall back on the sword, but by being true to yourself and having that as your central hook to anything, allows you to be authentic and yourself and admit when you're at fault and admit when you're wrong. And that's really big. And it takes a strong man to be able to do that. But any other way, I just personally couldn't live with doing, you know?
Okay. I mean, that's a good answer because mistakes happen, but I feel that, you know, Cullinane really upset a lot of Minifans and they've stopped submitting videos since then.
Sure.
And if he'd said at the end of it, at the end of the show, look, I made a big mistake. I'm really sorry. You guys wasted a lot of time. And as you say, maybe, you know, put them on socials and the YouTube and really promoted them, then maybe he could have, you know, made a few Minifans feel a bit better. All right, next situation.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kirk gets you on the show, right? And he gets you, he opens you up because, you know, Kirk's like a master, like, you know, he can make people unravel on air. And
I like that.
Get them to, you know, reveal things that they're not expecting. So say, you know, you're on air and you say something about, say, someone in your family, not you, but say someone in your family, you're one of your parents or one of your siblings or whatever. And you know, you leave and then you get a call from, say, your brother. I don't know if you have any brothers. You get a call from somebody and they're like, hey, I didn't really like you talking about that on air, right?
Yeah.
So firstly, okay, so you get that. So how do you handle it next time you go in the next show and Kirk, you know, brings it up again? What are you going to say?
I think just based upon some of the episodes I've listened to, like obviously Blind Mike had, you know, this thing with his mom and everything that's I thought was a pretty funny joke, but obviously early on it seemed like he had some pushback with it. I think if it's a gentle reminder, it's like, let's not go there, whatever. You know, first and foremost, you got to be accountable for what you say at all times. I mean, the mic is always hot, right? So you got to know that going in. And yes, Kirk is able to break down people. I think we saw that with what was his name? Was it Will with Lizzie, where he went on the
Yes.
whole tangent of everything? Yeah, that Kirk just broke that man down. But I do think you got to be held accountable for what you say. That being said, this is something that actually Big Cat has always talked about, where you or the person that is brought into this, they were never the one that wanted to be in this world, that advocated to be here. You were. So it's easier to have your own personal things come at you because you are the one willingly entering into this arena.
Of course. Yeah.
That being said, when you're doing that, you also are bringing in, the greater scheme of people in your life. So I think it needs to be on you, that you need to be more maybe reserved or careful in your wording with things, and pay attention to the show itself. So maybe not to say certain things and to leave people out of it. There's ways to go about this in a better way, like it is on you. End of the day, though, what you say on record is held on record. Like,
Yeah.
don't say stupid shit.
Yeah, Blind Mike and former producer Steve Robinson were very good at that. They used to lie and make up names and all sorts of stuff. But okay, so he brings up something. You get this phone call. Do you send Kirk a message? Look, hey, I don't really want to talk about, say, my brother again, because that upset him. So can we just leave that off? Would you send him that message?
I think I would first wait to see, that it could be something that just gets easily dropped. Like, I don't, if it's something that, yeah, maybe the person took it seriously on the side, maybe you have a conversation with them, tell them the scenario of the show, that there is some comedic humor to it. You deal with that with your own people first, I just don't really like the idea of bothering Kirk too much with what I would deem unimportant things. So it depends. If it's something that carries on, it's becoming a real issue, real problem, I think man to man, I would maybe mention it, but nothing right off the bat, just like that. I think you got to roll with the punches a little bit sometimes and be held accountable for what you say. So,
okay. So your brother in this situation, he's really upset. So he's really upset at what you said. And he says to you, I want you to take out that bit of audio from the show. I don't want that live on
I don't
the
think
podcast.
I don't think he has any right to say that, to be honest. It's Kirk's show. If he deems it to be included, it's included. I mean,
you say something about one of, say, your parents. And okay, in this, I'll take you, walk you through what happened. So Steve Robinson revealed on the show that he exposed his mother for having an affair, and then his parents got a divorce, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a big issue, like.
And then he went in afterwards without telling Kirk and deleted that audio, right? And then it was only discovered a few months later. I had a hand in it, but it wasn't solely my good work.
Yeah.
That audio had been deleted, and then Steve was suspended. So how are you going to handle that situation? Say one of your parents who bore you into this world, given you everything you live with, said, I do not want that live on the internet. You got to sort it out. What do you do?
At the least, if the intention, which I personally don't think I would do, would be to delete footage or audio, I mean, that's something that, you run by Kirk more than anything, first and foremost. Would I get to that point? Would I do that? I just don't think I really would. And it's not my show to control like that. It's what, like I've been saying, what you say on camera, you're held accountable for. So, it's on you, end of the day. I
can't crack you. Well done. Well done.
Yeah, man.
But that was a genuine situation, and you get there. And that's the February.
Yeah, no, that happens, man.
Okay, so you're gonna. Okay, I like this. You're an open book. You're gonna take it on the chin. You're not gonna interfere with content. Yeah, it has got people in hot water in the past where they send Kirk a message. Hey, man, can we keep this off the record, or can we, not make this part of the show? I will say though, from my understanding, if in behind the scenes you say to Kirk, hey, look, my parents don't want to be part of the show, can we not bring them up again? He's actually pretty respectful of family and stuff. So I don't think that's a real issue, but the issue is where you say something you're not expecting and then it's out there already.
Yeah. I think the other thing too with that is like, okay, learn from that again. So if you do say my parents wouldn't like to be a part of the show, a part of the world, and then, a couple episodes later, you bring up another thing, I don't think you get that second chance to want to delete something every single time, So, I think learn from it and just be, know what you're saying on mic. Like it's hot,
I got to say, your Steve score is going up during this
Oh,
Minifandom. I think
thank
it's the,
you.
the
Yeah.
first person where the Steve score's gone up during a
Thank you.
Minifandom.
Appreciate it.
Couple more situations, I guess. Salary you're after. What salary are you after?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's something I'd like to discuss on here. It seems like
Good
something
answer.
that would have to be between me and Kirk, or even
Yep.
not even necessarily saying between me and Kirk on the side. Like, it seems like in the past that was something discussed on the show. So that seems like a hot button issue that I'd want to, if anything, have be a part of the show to make for a better show,
I
So
like it. So
I wouldn't really discuss that here. Yeah.
yeah, I think around 75 a year is a good figure. I think that's all right. Next question. All right. So you talked a bit about your intern and staff strategy, but are you
Yeah.
still getting that dopey John Rich involved, or are you going to sort of try and bring in some other people?
Yeah, I mean, that's always something that has been one of my stronger abilities, is just kind of networking, talking with people. If I feel like it's a right fit in the greater scheme of things, yeah, maybe we try it out. I do think John Rich does have a bit of a pull within Minifans. Obviously, he was kind of a leader in the race for a minute there. Maybe there is some kind of segmentation or role that he could benefit in. He has that whole Barstool Investigates video series that goes on. I think that there's a way to maybe even do Barstool Investigates KMS type things where, it's smaller scale. Maybe it's even just blog form. I don't mind picking up a camera either. I've done that. So I think that there's a way to incorporate people like that and further grow out the world without giving Kirk a headache. Just, being able to have different vlogs, TikToks, whatever, to expand the world of Kirk without having to have him, every day be locked in 24/7 on whatever else is going on. I want to let him be at ease with some of those things to add to everything.
Good.
Yeah.
Because Kirk doesn't really know much about digital strategies
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
technical stuff. Like, he
Sure.
needs a producer to
It doesn't have to,
do it
that
for
should
him.
be the producer's job.
Yeah.
Kirk just needs to show up and give the best show possible and do his thing. That's all that matters.
Okay, last situation.
Sure.
Would you not post on Instagram or Facebook for 6 months?
No, 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 no,
Right.
no, no, no.
Great
That can't
answer.
happen.
All right, we're going to get to listener questions in a second. Just want to
Sure.
quickly get into the Minifan world stuff. I just want to weigh in on this 4 or 5 rules dispute
Oh,
by
yeah. Okay.
with the spirit with
Yep.
the Ryder
The
Cup.
Ryder Cup. Yep.
I'm a big cricket fan here and
Oh, that's cool.
commentator, and we have this thing in cricket where it's like the spirit of cricket. Like, there are rules, but especially the English, those fucking stupid pricks. They're like, oh, but that's not within the spirit of the game. My feeling is rules are fucking rules. If you're playing in a competition, it's really easy. Just play to the fucking rules, and then you never get in a dispute whether it's 4 or 5. So if you're fucking idiot Francis and you put the ball in the cup, I'm sorry, that's 5. Like, you can't say, oh, didn't know we were playing like this. Like, where do you draw the line then? Like, if someone puts their putter down and they just touch the ball by accident, you go, oh, that's not a shot. Have a mulligan. So I just think that whole thing was farcical. I thought Dave Portnoy came across like a fucking lunatic, like trying to rewrite the rules of golf. And he goes, oh, we're not playing like that. So, okay, so we're just playing any rules?
So I will say I agree. I think rules are rules. I think you just got to play by them regardless. But on top of that, I do think that it made for the better content to have that back and forth. And I think Dave is truly like really smart when it comes to making content moments, that maybe he even saw that, oh, I can go against Kirk with something here. Maybe let's play this up and really do this 4 or 5 thing. And maybe that's just the stance that he decided to roll on for the betterment of that video, which, you see the views. It worked. So yeah, for me personally though, I'm a rules are rules guy. I was actually a little confused and all that. I'm not like the biggest golf guy. I'll watch some golf here and there, but nothing crazy. I'm awful at it. But yeah, I thought that end of the day, everything Kirk had been saying made a lot of sense to me. And like you said, rules are rules. So I kind of sided with the 5 on that.
Well, maybe Kirk could take you on a few rounds of golf and give you a few
God.
pointers.
I'm telling you, he would get rid of me fast if he saw the way I not only held him up, but the way I played golf. It's brutal, man. I'm not good.
Yeah, I knew Kirk was a pretty good golfer. I'd never really seen him play before, and I mean those shots, the putt, the putt was it on 7 or 8 to tie to keep it hole even, and then it was if he misses that putt, they're probably gone there. But he sinks a 25-foot putt, and then the approach shot on the last. I mean, that was. Just there's nothing he can't do, and I sound like a bit of a suck pump here, but he can podcast, he can sing, he can dance, he can act. He's a comedian.
He's a goat, man.
He can
He's
improvise.
He's
a trivia savant. He plays. I don't know what his golf handicap is, but it's not far above 6 or something. Like he's got it all.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't even necessarily like, while it was a great golf play, I guess you would say. To me, that was just more of a mental game that he was just locked in like that. You see that with some of the greatest athletes out there who can just, I'm a basketball fan. So you think of like Damian Lillard, who Dame time, he knew what was up. He knew what he had to do, drills it and moves on. I mean, that's what Kirk did there. And it was ice cold, man. That was Mamba mentality. I loved it.
There's a real testament to his ability that he got better when the pressure was on him. And I was watching Aaron Foster thinking, this guy, and I don't know his career at all. I just knew he was a former pro footballer. So I was thinking he looked pretty good in the beginning. And I was like, oh, yeah, I think, he's obviously got that pro sports ability to focus and execute. But actually, in those last few holes, when Kirk really went fucking ballistic, it threw Foster off his game. I mean, Ellis disappeared. I mean, that was embarrassing. You could play better than Ellis on that. But
I don't know about that. I think he might be better than me too.
Yeah, but that was fantastic, the Ryder Cup. I don't know how much of the other matches I'll be watching. I think I'll just be watching Kirk's, but boy, that was good. Another bit of Minifan content this week was the Minifan show re-released an episode after 2 or 3 years. Now, my question for you is a bit about instincts. I don't understand. You go in there on Monday, you clip up 20 clips of the Minifan show.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you have clipped, like Montante said, 15 stupid things on Minifandom? Did you not think to clip up any of those?
So I actually hadn't gotten to. I had listened to. I believe it was Minifandom. I'm not exactly sure. I was listening to when you had call-ins.
Men is Live. Men is Live.
Okay, so I listened to that. I listened through the. Are you stupid? The one guy with the curly hair.
Oh, yep. Mike and the Minifans. Yep.
So I listened to
You make me sick
for a bit, and Ron, who came in.
Yep.
So I listened to that a little bit. I didn't really get to Montante's. I was listening to other stuff, and I had listened through the Minifan show that came out. So what was your question there?
My question was, why didn't you clip anything up about Minifandom, about Montante?
Oh, sorry.
Surely the instincts are better there to find stuff that is going to bury your opponents.
But that's the thing that I got to, that I was saying earlier. I really just hadn't concerned myself too much with my opponents. I'd rather just bring the better show itself. And to me, a Minifan show that hadn't been on for 3 years or whatever seemed like the better story at the time. So that's why I put more emphasis there in the work behind it. And again, even with that,
they didn't end up playing any of the drops. So
it didn't. To be honest, it didn't really seem too much like Kirk really wanted to dive into that too much. I could kind of read him a bit that maybe he just wanted to move past it and kind of talk about it, address it, but nothing too in depth there. So I thought, all right, let's just carry on, move along, get to something else. But yeah, in regards to Minifandom, I just hadn't got there because I thought that was something more important to me.
Well, I think then, if I'm going to give you a bit of advice, your instincts need to focus on things that are going to cause trouble. Like you need to be thinking about what is going to antagonize the situation.
Sure.
With the Minifan show, I really like MHB, and he's going to come on Minifandom. I don't mind DEC. It was a terrible show, though. I mean, because I hadn't listened to the show. MHB started telling bad stories. The joke that they'd been doing it for 2 years wasn't funny. But I like MHB.
I thought his story. One of the parts that I did actually somewhat enjoy was that story he told about the sleepover, and that wild family or whatever. I thought that was something that was comparatively to everything else that had been going on in that
Yep.
show actually made me perk up a little bit. I was like, oh, what's this? This is something weird and kind of interesting. The rest where it was this weird back and forth where they were saying that they did listen, but they didn't, and that they had been recording it. I was getting lost in all that. I was like, this is, nothing too great or anything. But yeah, I just thought that story
Right.
was just popped off to me a little bit more than anything else. But again, nothing crazy there, you know.
MHB is a nice guy, and he tells all right stories. All right, now listen to questions. Most popular segment of the show. All right, most of these are for you. So this is from Carlos Coleman. Have you apologized to King Manners?
I thought I did at the beginning of the show. If not,
you
apologies,
did.
sir.
You did. This is not a live. These questions aren't live. You did. Cool. Dash. So this is one of your opponents, John from Scranton. Now he's asked for your cock size or your wrench size, as he puts it. And I don't know if you know the history of this, but one of the candidates for the job, Tommy Quinlan, who's dropped out, he proudly stated he has an 8.5-inch wrench.
Hey, man. God bless them.
Yes. So are you over or under that 8.5?
Oh man. Listen, I can't be Quinlan, man. Can't be him in that regard.
So it's
I guess
under 8.5.
I don't know.
That's
I guess.
No shame. Like
if
you got a
you gotta find
7
out.
or 8 inch, I don't want to find out.
I don't know, man.
And you are getting so embarrassed about this.
Sounds like you want to find out. No, gentleman doesn't tell. Gentleman doesn't tell.
All right, bad answer, but I'm going to go tiny penis.
All right.
Boris Hasselhoff. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. Coleman, when you get the job, how fast are you tossing Manners off the network? So I don't know if you know this, but there's 2 YouTube channels. It's Kirk Minahan main one, and then there's Kirk Minahan Network, which I run.
The network. Yeah. That's where I've been coming to for this other type of stuff.
So
I know
I'm the CEO of the network. I run it, but that is because, Dave hasn't shown any interest. If you took the job, would you toss me off and take it over?
I don't think necessarily. I think today's gone pretty well. I don't see a reason to. I know that you're putting in all this additional work to, get an extra show out that connects the world at a greater extent. I don't think immediately that's at the front of my mind. I see you've given me no reason to. So why would I? I don't know. That's just
Good answer.
Whatever.
Could come. Maybe we'll work closely together. If you get the job, we'll work closely together and build a bridge.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't. It's just like at the forefront of my mind currently is like Kirk show. So it's like, let me work with that. Let me get into this. Let me, really try and make that the best it can be. And like, yes, the tertiary stuff, I would, like to have a hand in some regard, but that is a tough position for me to just come in and cut someone when I haven't been a part of this world. Like, that's fucked up. So
I like it. Okay, this is from Sneakers. If Luke gets the job, will you continue the tradition and turn your back on the Minifans like all past producers have?
No. So I get that there's a spectrum of Minifans. Like, there's the consistent guys that are pretty just authentic who they are. There's the guys that do the bits and everything. There's the guys that can just be jerks or whatever. That's any passionate fan base. Okay. Like, there should be a bit of back and forth. There should kind of be this, degree of separation where maybe, we aren't always, hyping each other up and there is a headbutting or something. Okay. Like, that happens. That's real life. To turn my back completely, I don't think so. You guys are the fans of the show. You're the people that, Kirk is releasing this to, that is selling pay-per-views to, that is releasing merch to. Like, I'd be stupid to just cut out a fan base like that. I don't think I would do that.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Melissa Gorman, will Coleman be joining Julie's family chat?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Have you spoken to Julie or heard of her?
No. I don't think, unless I had missed it, I didn't hear her on the actual show. I had heard about her.
It's only been on a couple of times, and it was
okay. I heard the episode with Live Events Leash. I thought that was a great nickname, having known Lisa from Barstool.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I had known about her in the grander scheme of the search for that role, and I knew about Dave being in the group chat or whatever with the family. But no, as of right now, no plans to be in the family chat.
She's a bit of a zero. She's also Montante's side piece. So anyway, we won't go there.
Hey, I
Next,
mean, zero isn't necessarily a bad thing with that role if you're looking for content from it. Like, I think we just need someone that needs to be able to do the job. It doesn't matter how they come across. Like, I think if they can deliver and really carry out a good show or deliver on everything that they're saying, that's what matters there. That's the whole point of the
yeah, get it
dotting I's,
done.
crossing T's. Get it done. Yeah, who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah, I mean, you know about what happened at soccer with the $29,000 catering, don't you?
I'd heard bits and pieces of it. I knew that there was something with the alcohol sales too, that had been going on. But
Well, what
yeah,
happened with soccer, and this is 2 years ago now, 2 summers ago, I think.
okay,
Basically, they had a caterer when they were in Madawaska, Northern Maine,
right. I listened to that
and
first live show there.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then for some reason, and I can't remember if it was Justin or Steve Robinson, because this was when he was sort of in that transition period. They
right.
inquired with this caterer whether they could do the job in soccer, which is in Maine, but a long way away. A long
Yes,
way
yeah,
away. And then I think, they basically sent a message to Cullinane saying, basically, this is going to cost a lot. We have to travel, all this
makes
stuff. And
sense.
he
Yeah,
was just like, lock. Yeah. Cullinane just replied, lock. And then, Kirk gets this. Yeah, no, that's right. Kirk wanted them to sell the stuff. No, he didn't want to pay for it. He wanted a caterer to come like a food truck and you just go and buy your stuff.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice and
And
easy.
and actually they sent a message to Carl and they were like, so Barstool's paying for all of this. And he went, yes. And then at the end of the show, so the show's going on and all this free food's being given out. And it's a bit weird. There are a few comments were made. I wasn't there. I'm just secondhand saying this.
Yeah, yeah,
And then it, no one really knew what was going on. And then, a couple of days later, he gets a bill for $30,000 for catering. Completely, wow. And so they managed to bargain it down to $29,000. And then they had to do another show to make up that loss.
Right.
Because 30,000 coming out
Yeah,
of
no,
that revenue.
that makes
basically.
a lot more sense now. Yeah.
So that's why you're right. Julie, whoever does that job, needs to be on top of that shit.
Yeah, for sure. I think it is helpful having that role, of course, but I think as producer too, like you need to be tapped in with all that. Like it isn't like Julie just comes on and then I don't interact. Like if there's a big show coming up, like yeah, I'd expect to be meeting with her, talking with her. I think that is a benefit to having some of that Barstool background too, is maybe I can reach out to people from HQ to figure out some of those things and get an actual valid response, because I still have connects there and everything. So I do think that is, something you should have your eyes on regardless,
All right, last couple of questions. Couple of Michigan Man and Patrick Floyd have both asked you why you agreed to come on this show.
Why? Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, like this was part of the reason with kind of holding back a minute when you had asked. I just really don't feel the need to put myself on camera all that much. That's just something instilled at Barstool. Like you more so learn your moments when they come and kind of not capitalize, but give what's necessary in the moment. To just kind of go above and beyond to be putting yourself out there, like I don't feel comfortable with that when it's it's Kirk's show, it's the Kirk Minahan show, it's all him. Me coming on here now though, I do think that is other candidates have done it. I think that maybe people don't know me as well just from outside of the show. Like you just see what I've said on there and everything. So I think it is important on the fan side to be able to understand me maybe a little more, get to know me a little more, because there is that whole relationship. So yeah, as of right now, I did it because I think it's necessary. I thought it was, good to show face a little bit now and show that I'm still connected within the world while I'm back home in Jersey and not on the day-to-day involved with, Kirk's shows being produced. So that's about it for now. I really just, I don't really want to be a content face like that currently. When it happens on the show, it happens. If there's things that come up, it happens. But it's Kirk's show. I'm just here to guide, help, make everything as best as it can be.
Absolutely. And this show is for the fans. I mean, the
Yeah,
network is for the fans. I mean, you could say if maybe more than a couple of years ago when I was doing content around the KMS show, there was a bit of hand waving going on. Like you could make
sure,
that claim about me, but
sure.
this content I make now is exactly what you said, for fans to get to know people. This is a loyal audience that loves getting to know their characters, getting behind the scenes. So
Yeah,
I'm
and
glad you came on,
that's
put it that way.
no, seriously, that's amazing, and that is something valuable. But again, I think it just all comes back to end of the day, Kirk Minahan show. I need to be there for him first and foremost, and that doesn't necessarily mean just throwing myself out there as a piece of content. So that's all.
Yes. I mean, I think Kirk is the greatest broadcaster in American history.
Yeah, I mean he's
Yeah.
awesome just
I
from
mean,
what I've experienced.
I can't.
Seriously.
Maybe there's people equally as great as him, but I can't find anyone in recorded history better.
Yeah, I seriously
Just the
wish I
fact.
had even I
Fact.
wish I had even found him sooner.
Mm.
Because I had been involved and listened to this Barstool world. I was someone that at 16 was listening to Part of My Take and got so sick and tired of all the ESPN talking heads that I was drawn to Big Cat. I thought he was just this role model of, going into a show and creating an environment where you could get the best answers out of people and not just, oh, talk about the score of the game, whatever. So being able to see Kirk from another standpoint of this, where he's more of the journalistic side and true finding the truth and all these things that you hear preached about in journalism classes that are then not even talked about in actual media. I mean, it's so refreshing. So really, I wish I was a part of it all sooner.
Super smart. He sucked me in from the other side of the world. All right. Last couple of questions. He did. I was all right. Questions from the YouTube chat. Mena's legit said he told Steve everything how to produce and made Steve what he was. That is true. Next question. Suburban Tug Time. His religious manners. So, Jackie, you a man of faith?
Yeah, I mean, am I going to church every Sunday? No, but I've also spent my entire life in Catholic school, which I know to some people sounds like I was I forget the John Mulaney joke, but he says when he was a altar server, it's like you're a French maid in the 1800s or something. No, my entire life, my entire school career was faith based. I went to Catholic school, I went to Catholic high school. I went to Boston College, which has a Jesuit tradition similar. I believe Kirk is Fordham, if I'm not wrong. So that's Jesuit faith. Is he not?
Fordham? Sorry, where he went to
Yeah.
college?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. I thought he mentioned that the other day, but similar tradition there or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's a part of life. I choose to, be on that side of the glass with everything. I know Kirk isn't. That's fine. Everyone's got their thing.
He
I'm just
fucking
okay.
hates the Catholic Church. I mean, it
Yeah,
is one of the things he hates the
rightfully
most.
so. Sometimes, like the whole spotlight thing, it shown was a brutal light on it
Happened all
all,
around
and
the
that,
fucking world.
yeah, for sure.
It's the biggest
So,
criminal institution in the world.
yeah, I mean, it all goes back to indulgences back in the day. I mean, look at that. That what a crime that was, and I think a lot of the messaging is lost. So that's why I'm not, always going to church or really finding validation in doing that. I think that some of the messaging I relate to in the actual,
So some of
writing.
the community stuff and the moral
Sure,
stuff.
sure.
Yeah, okay.
I think some of that is good, but to say I'm this, holy religious man of God, like no, I got my moments, but otherwise, it's just what I choose to believe in, what I choose to aspire in, whatever.
Jack, admitted Catholic. And you weren't molested or fiddled with?
No,
Or
surprisingly, I made it out. Made it out.
okay. Last couple of questions. Hunter Fletch, he's got two here. Can you commit to 2 years with Kirk? And if you were offered a job at Barstool Chicago, would you turn it down?
No. Yeah, so the Barstool Chicago thing, I mean, they're not giving me the chance now. Why the hell would I leave Kirk when he's just given me this incredible opportunity? I'm seriously so thankful for. So no, that is in the realm of possibility. And the 2 years thing, I mean, Kirk signed a 4-year deal. So in my eyes, even if it does end up being this 2-year thing that keeps happening with producers, I'm looking at 4 because that is the grander scheme of this very crucial part to Kirk's career, right? So this is when you're locked in like that at a spot, you're thinking long term while also maintaining the short term things. So yeah, no, Barstool Chicago, listen, I had my day in Barstool, New York, and was able to do a lot of those great things. This is a new challenge for me, and I like that challenge. I invite that challenge. I think it's exciting.
Okay, good. And so you said to me before you listened to the death of Steve Robinson, that
Yeah.
episode. So if you were Steve in that situation and you just get killed for a couple of hours,
Yeah.
could you take
Yeah.
that?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So the one thing I will say that I did like that Steve did in that episode was initially when it started out, he tried mentioning uh however many clips he did get from the Periscope. He was like, "Oh yeah, like I had a couple from the cops, whatever." But once the callers started calling in, he made a switch where he just said he didn't have it completely, and that was crucial because that makes for the better show. That makes for better callers.
Mm.
And it shortens down his having to explain to people on air that he just didn't have it, which end of the day he really didn't. So to his credit, I thought that was one area, one decision there that was actually greater for the benefit of the show.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could take a beating. Come on.
Good. Last question.
Yeah.
Hunter Fletch, what's one thing you'd like to change about KMS? Good one to end.
Yeah, it's a tough question because I think any type of change has to come through Kirk. Like I said, there's those little things, those technical things that you can do. So I do think having a
Can you
greater
just
presence.
clean the fucking studio? Can you make that studio actually nice? I mean,
Yeah,
it is.
I thought about that a little bit.
It
I
is
also didn't know if that was something
awful.
Kirk liked. You
No,
know, like
just fucking
I didn't know if he
Cullinane,
just
and they're all lazy. No, like get a vacuum, get somebody to clean it, turn that room into a nice setting for recording. I mean, if you move the cameras one side or the other, it's like paint's peeling off. There's like cockroach trays. There's like, dead bodies. I mean,
yeah. So I think that's something that for sure. I mean, if that's okay
I
with
think they
Kirk,
need new chairs. They
maybe we
need
can
new
address
mic
all that.
stands. They need new mic stands that make it easy for the people to actually
Sure.
talk.
I think that's something that also has to be factored into, budget too, and how much like I think tech guy
Use
Andrew
Kirk's
in New
daddy's
York.
money.
Well, tech guy Andrew in New York at Barstool, he does a lot of these studio creations and stuff and helps with the implementation. So he's a guy that I would probably reach out to and kind of see how maybe we can accentuate certain things and build it out. I really, to be honest, didn't know how much of that was what the show was based around, what Kirk liked about it. Like, I just didn't want to interfere too much with anything like that. But yeah, I mean, for sure, if we can make it a cleaner looking studio, why not? I think it's a better setting and makes for better video content if you have a better visual setting to it.
Better lights, better background.
Sure.
I'm surprised at how little has been done to that studio since Cullinane's been there. I think it's easy. What?
I'm losing power, so I'm gonna bring you over here.
All right. We're almost done.
Done.
We're almost done.
I'm just gonna plug in over here.
All right. Okay. So, last thing, Jack, we wrap this up with a little segment. Now, a Minifan called Red actually passed away a couple of years ago. He died of becoming a giant pussy. So we lost actually the former co-host to this show. But I've dedicated a segment to him about what is Red watching up in heaven, and it's a pop culture segment. So I'm going to give you my recce for the week. I've only been really watching one thing, and that's the new Star Wars series, Ahsoka.
Yeah,
if you're a Star Wars fan, this is peak Star Wars. One of the best things I've ever seen. So my recce for the week is Ahsoka. I'm hoping to get to the movies this weekend and seeing A Haunting in Venice, which Jeff Dilo gave a pretty lukewarm review, better than the other Hercule Poirot films. But what are you into, Jack?
Yeah, so I've been trying to keep up with Ahsoka too. I didn't see the most recent one. I saw episode 5. Which, having been someone who watched Rebels in the past, I mean, this is just Dave Filoni, just chef's kiss to the entire Star Wars universe with this show. Really, really great stuff there. Recently, I recently watched Eastbound and Down for the first time in terms of TV shows. Thought that was pretty funny. McBride's a great character.
I know the Russian pitcher. He's a friend of mine.
Oh, cool. The movie wise. So I watched Hacksaw Ridge for the first time last night. Really enjoyed that. Borderline, I think, gave it a 9. Like that a lot. I also watched the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Thought the animation style was pretty good. I thought some of the musical tie-ins were great. Like I'm a rap fan, so like hearing Wu-Tang, MF Doom, I thought that was really cool. What else did I watch? I watched something else. Oh, Theater Camp on Hulu. If you like Wet Hot American Summer, very similar vibe to that with more emphasis on like the theater side of it, I guess. That wasn't too bad of a watch. I'm trying to think of what else TV wise. Um, yeah, I mean, I've been
Well,
watching
that's good.
Winning Time. It's
That's
all
a
right.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's been
yeah.
axed.
I read
Well,
too. I'm reading Lincoln Highway right now. It's a decent book. Um, and the second Game of Thrones book. I'm trying to read through all those because I know it branches off at one point. But yeah,
well, great list of recommendations there.
sure.
Well, Jack, thanks for joining me on Minifandom. It's been great
Yeah,
to
no
get to know
problem, man.
you. You're an unflappable character. I think you're steady, and I think you're in this race.
Sure.
Um,
I
uh,
appreciate it, man.
it's hard to really get any gauge on the way Kirk is thinking. He's been pretty clever in keeping his cards close to his chest. Um, I guess, do you have this, I guess, fear that, because you're the outsider, that you're at a slight disadvantage, despite Augustus and Montante's flaws and even Mix, they are ensconced in the Minifan world.
Sure, sure. I do think there is some advantage to having a little bit of that separation. Like we see, like genuinely enjoyed Montante today, but that was brought up a little bit that maybe he interacts with Minifans too much or something. Um, I wouldn't say fear that I'm on the outside. I think it's more so that I can understand why Kirk would go a different direction. I think with me, you're getting this nice complete package that can do technical, can hold his own on a mic and everything. But I do think that there is something to having Augustus on or Montante on that just adds to the overall allure of the show that feeds into reactions and everything from Minifans and Kirk alike. So I understand that. I get that. That's why I've never at any point really thought I was worlds away in any kind of lead here. I think there's value in everyone who's really still in this.
Oh, lovely. I mean, you haven't lied about the Saudis breaking a window. You
No,
haven't borrowed money off a Minifan,
no,
and,
no.
and you haven't either rung Milton's or stalked Big Cat and Rico at an airport. So I think you're doing well on that front.
Yeah. Yeah. Or worn a fedora.
No, not yet.
Not
Um,
yet.
all right, Mr. Coleman. Well, good luck. Be
Thank you,
watching at
sir.
Socko when they announce it. Thanks for coming on. Been great to meet
No
you.
problem.
And whether you get the job or not, stay part of the world.
Sure thing.
Be a Minifan because you're a nice guy.
Definitely, man. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll be back soon.